Alright. Hi, Fancy.
Fancy.
So, James, how's your day been?
My day's been pretty good. I actually went to home bio lecture today, which doesn't happen too often, which is pretty bad. Most of my day I spent it at work. I work over in the medical school office building for a summer program that I did last year after freshman year. And so today we just it's called the Stanford Medical Youth Science Program.
Stanford Medical Youth Science Program.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Okay.
But we shorten it to SMYSP, which is still a mouthful.
Sure.
But right now we're in the process of it's a residential program for high school students in the summer. So we're just narrowing down the number of applicants because next Saturday, 45 high school students will come onto campus. I'm going to interview them. It's a really cool program that I hold it very dear to my heart. We look for 24 high school students who are low income, underrepresented minorities. And so one of my participants from this past summer, he's actually here for Admit Weekend.
Oh,
so it was just so amazing to hear him get into Stanford.
Oh, wow.
Our work, he's the product. Well, he himself is just an amazing person, but yeah.
Huh.
So I haven't seen him yet, but he's actually staying in Gavilon.
That's right next to me.
Yeah. So I think I might be there later tonight to visit him.
Cool. So you're gonna be interviewing people for the program that you did?
Yeah. So I was a counselor for the program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Stanford undergrads, we can apply to be counselors every year. There's 10 counselors and then 24 high school kids that the counselors choose. And so this year I just played more of an administrative role by working in the office and then training the new counselors that we have, and just working with them and helping them with the application process. But the way that the process works is that there's 3 rounds. So the first round we get 400 applications from all around Central and Northern California, and then we do a pre-screen to see who's high income, so we don't accept them. We narrow that down, and then the 10 counselors, they read all the applications, and then they write review sheets, and then from those review sheets, my boss and I, we look at them. We narrow 300 down to 100 that they telephone interview, and then we look at today we looked at those telephone interviews and narrowed it down to 45.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gotta be such a hard job.
It's very hard. Last year, when choosing from 45 to 24, we deliberated from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. And people are just fighting for their kids.
Oh.
And it's just wow, this is what it probably feels like to be an admissions officer.
Yeah.
We can easily have a different group of 24 who are they're qualified, but yeah, it's just very heartbreaking and it's a very bittersweet process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it really do you get something really, I don't know, meaningful when you meet the people? Do you get to?
Yeah. So after we choose the 24, then in the summer they come and we live with them in Roth House for 5 weeks.
Wow.
And definitely that this past summer has been the most rewarding summer I've ever had. Or just the most rewarding, one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had. Just seeing 24 kids grow, and a lot of them come in thinking they could never go to college. It's not even part of their life.
Really?
And then at the end, their eyes are just so full of hope. And we do this really cool thing called circle talk, where it's basically Spotlight.
Okay.
But we do 2 rounds of it, and it's during week 2 we do the first circle talk. That's how it's a 5-week program in summer. So mid-June to the end of July. And yeah, so circle talk on one Saturday evening, we'll all sit down in a circle, and then the prompt is what's the most difficult thing you've ever had to endure? And so counselors and participants, we all like share our stories. So like 34 people in a row. You just hear like the most heart-wrenching things, and it's like such a humbling experience to like hear what type of things these kids go through. Like, yeah, like I come from a low-income first generation background myself, so like I can like identify with them, but like a lot of them go through like, extremely rough, like things that you like just see in the movies. Yeah, it's just very amazing. And then we have like a second circle talk at the end of the program, which has a much more positive spin to it. And basically for that one, we asked the participants, their families and friends, to like send in letters of encouragement and like say how proud they are of them. And the kids don't know that these letters are coming.
Yeah.
So it's a total surprise. And then as counselors, we each write letters for like the 24 kids. So like I pulled an all-nighter writing 24 letters. Like also expressing like how much growth we've seen in them in the past 5 weeks. And then so circle talk too, like before we give them the letters, we all sit down in a circle again. But this time we do like, I think it's called like an affirmative circle, where like one person will go in the center and for like 2 minutes we'll just like say positive things about them. And like even when I was in the center, like just for those 2 minutes, I felt super special. And like after we did that, we surprised them with all these letters, and we just like let them like disperse around the house and like watch them read the letters, and like the tears of joy that like they had, and just like this warm tingling feeling was just so, that was like, I would say that's the best night of my life that I've ever like lived. Like I just felt so rewarded and like just so proud. Yeah, identity. So I never thought about it, and I grew up in like a very like predominantly Hispanic.
Yeah, I know Riverside.
Yeah. So like my entire life, I like never really thought about being Asian, and I actually like identified more with like, a lot of my friends are Mexican, and so like I would identify more with their culture.
Really?
And like I would try to learn as much Spanish as possible. So when I like visit their like families, I would like talk in Spanish with like their moms and dads. Yeah, it was very interesting. And then I would go home and like speak in Vietnamese to like my grandparents and parents. But I like felt a little lost in the sense that like I was losing like my capacity to speak Vietnamese, because like I would speak English at school and like Spanish as well. And then like I have a younger sister who's a senior now in high school. And like we would talk,
What's her name?
Sandra.
Sandra.
She just chose to go to UCLA
She just chose.
over Irvine,
Oh, okay.
which I thought was a clear choice anyways, but she was having a hard time.
UCLA is a great school.
Yeah.
That's, congrats to her.
Yeah.
Side note, but yeah.
Yes, and then I would like talk in English to my sister, and my like mom and grandparents would like chastise me for like not speaking Vietnamese at home. And so like ever since coming here, I've like made an active effort to like be more in tune with like my Vietnamese American and like more general Asian American identity. And like from this ASB trip, I learned a lot about like the issues that like the Asian community faces, and a lot of them, like what? A lot of like mental health is a big like stigma, but it's also very prevalent. Like a big thing in Asian culture is like we like to like push like touchy subjects under the rug. Like we don't like to talk about things. There's a like for in Vietnamese culture, there's a big like homophobic culture, and like personally, this past summer I just like came out.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And like I still haven't told my like, family. I've told my sister, but like I don't know when I'm gonna tell my parents, whatever. Cause like I remember in the 5th grade very distinctly, in our kitchen, my mom like looked at me and my sister, and she was like, "If any of you ever turn out gay, I'm disowning you." But I mean that was also like 5th grade, and like back when there were higher anti-gay sentiments. So
Yeah.
I don't know how like she feels now, but I've definitely like brought my boyfriend home and he's like stayed over multiple times, but like my mom just thinks he's my friend.
Okay.
So like I really want to tell them. Like I have a gay uncle too, but like we never talk about it. Like he would bring over his boyfriends and like I would ask my grandpa one time like, oh, is our uncle gay? Like before like even I knew I was gay, and he was just like, oh, like he laughed it off and then like said don't talk to me about it. And so like my uncle has never explicitly like said like I'm gay, and so like we all just like accept it. But I'm like the type of person like if I'm gonna like come out to my family, I want to have like a discussion about it.
Yeah.
But I'm also like very scared to have that discussion. So that's like something like yeah, Asian culture we like to like not talk about things. Like silence is a big problem. Like even with like mentally ill family members, like people like no one likes to mention them or talk about them. Cause like there's this like issue of like being very prideful and like bringing like, honor to your family and like people who like don't fit a certain like mold are shameful. So one other thing is like in Asian Americans are like seen as the model minority in the US. Like we're supposed to be obedient, getting good jobs, good education, good cars and such, and like we follow the rules, and like that's pitted against like other minorities, and like especially back in like the civil rights era, like when I guess the African American and like Latino populations are like rising against, or like fighting for their rights, and then the government or like people in power like, oh look at these like Asians are like not saying anything. And so like that model minority thing is like a big problem because like one, it tells a lot of people that like generally Asians are more well off, that we're like perfect, we have no problems, but in reality it masks a lot of the problems that we have. Like people say that like there's a lot of like Asians in college, but if we were to like disaggregate that and like look at the different like ethnicities within the Asian race, like most of the Asians in colleges are like Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, like East Asians, but like Southeast Asians like Vietnamese, Cambodians, Thais, Laotians like have very few numbers in college. So like when people talk about affirmative action and how like it should work against Asians, like there's like yes and no to that. Like it needs to be more nuanced.
Yeah.
So that's like stuff that I've learned from ASB.
Yeah.
And like it impacted me so much that I led it this year.
Really?
Yeah. And so
Wow.
that's like the other like most rewarding experience I've had at Stanford. And so yeah, like sophomore year has just been freshman to sophomore year has just been a very like huge growing period for me.
Yeah, you're only a sophomore and you've had like
Yeah,
wow.
I feel very lucky and fortunate.
So are you leading like the same ASB or like the same kind or?
Yeah. So like I led like the exact same like issue, like Asian American issues, and like basically like followed the like curriculum from my past trip leaders. And our trip has been around for like 11 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Following the tradition then.
yeah.
Wow. Good for you. It sounds like you spend a lot of time like boosting other people up. Like I don't know, you're doing a lot of just lifting people up and giving them hope. Is there sounds like you grow a lot from it too.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot. I find it very, I don't know, I just like helping people out. And one of my ASB participants said to me like after the trip, and I decided to drop pre-med after leading ASB this year.
You did.
Yeah, so-
Another congrats.
Thanks.
Dang.
But I still want to do health, but like
Yeah.
public health. But yeah, she like asked me what I wanted to do as a career now after like dropping pre-med, and I was like, I don't know, like maybe working at a nonprofit. And she said to me, I think I know what would be fulfilling to you. Like mentoring and teaching people in life. I was like, oh wow. And
That's like the highest compliment.
Yeah, I
you
just,
could
like-
ever get.
yeah. And so like I've been like keeping education at the back of my mind. And I was talking to my ASB trip leader, Todd, and he like planted a seed in my head, and like now I'm thinking about culturing in education. And like I guess it could be feasible now that I've like dropped pre-med,
Yeah.
and like my junior year schedule is completely empty now.
There you go.
And I haven't like looked at my 4-year plan, but yeah,
Perhaps destiny. I don't know.
yeah.
Sounds like you have a lot going for you. Is it? How does that feel with like? You mentioned having these. It sounds like you have a lot of things that you are struggling with, like form an identity, but like so many things that make you feel good that often involve like being really extroverted. Like, how does the forming your own identity fit in with helping other people do that?
Yeah, I think by interacting with other people, I can like. It really helps me figure out who I am. I really value social interaction, and like I guess that like leads back to like being able to drop pre-med and like looking past that. But I guess in like forming identity, I really like reflecting, and like to me reflecting takes a written form. So like I have a journal. Well, I don't write in it like consistently, but like that's when I like have revelations about myself. Well, revelations is like a really big word, never mind. But I think interacting with people like pushes me to think about other things that I usually like won't think about. I think me on my own, I can't grow. Like that's my like own thought. Like I think without like Stanford's different programs, I wouldn't be like comfortable with myself. I wouldn't have like come out. Like I probably would never have come out actually. But just like
Just the people around.
yeah, I guess just like I feed off of people's energies.
Yeah.
And that like is a really big confidence booster for me. And I think having like heart-to-heart talks with people like helps me figure out myself
Yeah.
and like really helps me like connect with others.
Yeah. Where do you think you're when you write? Where's your direction now? Where's your orientation? Like, towards what things are you going towards? I guess identity wise.
I don't know. What do you mean? Like,
I don't know. I'm wondering what like you feel the next steps are for you in identity building.
I really don't know. I guess I just like kind of take things as they go.
That's good.
I guess really what I want to do next is I still have to tell my parents that I've dropped pre-med,
Yeah.
and I don't know if I'm like gonna tell them that I'm gay this summer.
Are you gonna go home at all?
Yeah, I'm going home this summer.
Okay.
Yeah. But in terms of like next steps, I guess just really figuring out what I want to do after graduation. Now that like med school is not in the picture.
It's so far off though.
I
So
guess
far
2
off.
years, but 2 years have passed by so quickly already.
Yeah, it happens pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I'm looking at like senior.
Do you know what you're gonna do?
Not really.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of nice that way. I would like to. One of my friends. Have you heard of WOLF, the Worldwide Organization of Farmers?
No.
He's taking a year off to go. He's actually in Southeast Asia, and he started in Nepal, and he's like traveled all the way through. Something about that sounds like so amazing. I wish something like that
Farming.
happened. Yeah.
Have you ever like thought about farming?
What? I worked in construction, but I haven't farmed.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess it'd be a little different than like finding a job after school.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
let's see.